All right, let's talk about some further ways that we can distinguish different types of reinforcement, and eventually we'll also add in punishment to this. So reinforcement. Remember, reinforcement is something that strengthens a behavior. It's a consequence of a behavior that strengthens it in some way, makes it more likely that it's going to occur. All right. How could we do that? Well, we can either add something or subtract something to have reinforcement. All right, and so this leads to the terms positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. Unfortunately, many students get confused by those terms because the words positive and negative, in addition to having mathematical meanings like adding, subtracting, they also have value meanings. So sometimes people hear positive, they think it's good. It's good, it's fun, it's pleasant. Negative must mean unpleasant, must mean harsh, bad. I don't like it. Well, that's not what it means, all right? So positive reinforcement involves you adding something. You are strengthening behavior by adding something. So, you could give a reward of some sort. You could give a sticker, right? And if that child changes their behavior, if it's a child, it could be an adult too. Some adults like stickers, right? But let's say you're giving a sticker to a child to try to strengthen some behavior. Maybe you are encouraging them to tie their own shoes, and they tied their own shoes, and you give them a sticker because you want them to do that more often. You want to strengthen that behavior. You want to see more shoe tying. You want to see enthusiastic shoe tying. You want to see, independent and not dragged out shoe tying. You want to strengthen that shoe tying behavior. So you give them a sticker, and assuming that they like stickers, that they would want a sticker. If that strengthens the behavior, that is a positive reinforcement. They have something they didn't have before with positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement can also be things that you can't hold in your hand. If you can hold it in your hand and touch it and see it, we would call that a tangible reinforcer. But you can also have non-tangible reinforcers like praise. Good job, yay, you did it. If that gets the individual to do something more often to strengthen their behavior, if they seem motivated by, yay, by praise, that is a positive reinforcer. They didn't have that praise before. You have given, you have introduced, you have added that praise to their life. So that is positive reinforcement. All right, what would negative reinforcement be? A lot of times people hear negative reinforcement, they're like, well, negative means bad. So it's like punishment, right? Well, no, punishment is its own separate thing. So wait a minute, how would you strengthen somebody's behavior negatively? Well, it involves taking something away. What would you want to take away if you wanted to strengthen a behavior? Well, you take away something they don't want. You take away something that they would like to be relieved of. All right, so this can be something like you're nagging them, because sometimes parents and teachers they engage in some nagging. And maybe you're nagging and they say something that pleases you and you stop nagging. They're like, oh, they stopped nagging. I have to remember to say that again because they stopped nagging. That individual has been negatively reinforced for whatever they said that got you to stop nagging. If you have an alarm clock, when you get up and turn off the alarm clock, you get that thing to shut up. You have been negatively reinforced for getting out of bed and turning off the alarm clock because you want it to stop making the noise. All right, other things that can be taken away for negative reinforcement. Sometimes with my children, and I'm trying to strengthen particular behaviors, I might say, okay, you do this, I take this other thing away that you don't like doing. You don't have to clear the table if you do this thing that I'm trying to get you to do more often. If you do, if you start the dishes, if you load the dishwasher, you have one less chore that you have to do. You're taking something away that they don't want. The idea with negative reinforcement is you're kind of relieving them of something. You are taking something away that is undesirable, that is unwanted to them. So it's not that negative reinforcement is unpleasant. It's that you've subtracted something. It's really helpful to think of positive and negative reinforcement in terms of addition and subtraction. So reinforcement, all reinforcement strengthens behavior. Positive reinforcement strengthens behavior by adding something to their lives. Negative reinforcement strengthens behavior by subtracting something from their lives. All right, so can we have positive and negative punishment? Absolutely. All right, so with positive and negative punishment, and I need to check, because I did use one weird textbook one time where they gave it a different label. So let me make sure that, yes, okay, yes. So this textbook, let's make sure I'm consistent. This textbook does say positive and negative punishment. All right, same idea. All punishment weakens or reduces behavior in some way. You want them to stop doing something. All right, so positive punishment, you introduce something. It could be something like physical punishment, but it could also be something like yelling at them. You know, yelling at them, nagging, they're like, oh, this is unpleasant, I don't want it, and you're introducing this into my life. I'm gonna stop, you know, because I don't want to hear it. That's the positive punishment. You know, giving something that they don't want. You can also give extra chores. Like, all right, so now you have extra chores to do. I didn't want those extra chores. Now you've added that. You've introduced that into my life. And you're hoping by doing that that they will stop. They will reduce whatever behavior that they're engaging in. That doesn't always work, because remember, it's individual whether it's actually going to be effective. But if it actually reduces behavior, that's what you got. That's what you're working with. Now, what would negative punishment involve? You're taking something away to reduce behavior. So that's when you take things away that they like. You know, that's like, okay, I don't like this behavior, reduce this behavior. All right, you're behaving inappropriately. You can't play video games tonight. You know, you can't go to that dance, can't go to that movie. Something you were planning on doing, taking away your iPad, you know, anything that's going to make anything that could change their behavior, because they're like, no, you took that away. You took that away and I wanted it. You subtracted something from my life that I wanted. And so they might stop engaging in undesirable behavior because you've taken something away. And so there are various types of punishment and reinforcement. But remember, when you're studying for exams and you're trying to keep the terms straight, think in terms of addition and subtraction, not in terms of like value and quality. And also keep in mind, whether you can consider something punishing or reinforcing depends on the person. If their behavior does not change, technically it's not reinforcement or punishment. Their behavior has to actually change. You have to actually see a reduction or a strengthening of behavior.